Meet the brave ones. Why didn't I call today's message Meet the Smart Ones? You see, the minute I posted this preview of this stream, I started receiving messages. Konstantin, why the brave ones? The smart ones describes the ones who left much better. Therefore, meet the smart ones. Meet the smart ones. To me personally, it's not about being smart. It's not about having a heart full of love. It's not about religion. It's not about anything like that. I know quite a few people who are incredibly smart, who are fantastic human beings, who are very religious, with their hearts full of love, full of mercy and empathy, who would never take a gun and go kill Ukrainians. Never. Yet, they still remain in Russia. It all comes down to be brave enough to make that step into unknown, into a complete darkness, not knowing what awaits you there. Not having the slightest idea what's next. You can be smart enough to understand everything with your head. You can be full of love and bleed in your heart. But are you brave enough to make that step? Are you brave enough to take that action? Are you brave enough to get out of your comfort zone? And that's not just a big step out of comfort zone. That's a step that most likely will change your life forever. Do you have the guts to do that? It'll be an unusual stream. Some cold-hearted analysis about the ones who left, lots of personal experience and emotions. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. What you will find here is logic, truth, and common sense. You will not find here BS, propaganda, or lies. You will also find some emotions because I'm a human being. As usual, 30 minutes or so, my message of the day, and then I invite everyone to carry on to live stream chat to converse and where I answer questions. I'd love that very much. I would like to thank everyone for coming and joining me for this stream. Thank you. So let's talk about the brave ones. Different experts give different estimations of how many people left, how many people escaped Russia since the start of the war. It's hard to pinpoint to exact number because Russian system of border crossing is controlled by KGB, and they don't give you exact statistics. It simply is unclear. So the number from expert to expert varies. Numbers vary. They vary from 1 to 3 million people who have escaped Putin's Russia since the start of the war in 2022. I have studied this topic quite a lot since it concerns me very much personally, and I've seen things with my own eyes, my friends. To give you a better understanding, let's break the people, the brave ones, into 3 categories. Well, 3 major waves of the brave ones, that's how I call them. First wave is people who started living right after the start of the war on February 24th, 2022. I personally know many people who quit their jobs and left in March, in April. Nothing then threatened their lives directly. People just got so disgusted with the just idea that Russia attacked, invaded Ukraine, Russia is killing people, Russia, waging a war on its neighbor. People got so disgusted with Putin, Russian government, they just got up and left. It was not a huge number. Most people were trying to catch their breath as no one really understood what was going on. The ones who left, they didn't want to take a part of this, okay? I guess they were not just the brave ones, but the smartest and the most empathetic ones out of all of us. First wave lasted from March of 2022 all the way through September. Second wave, those who left after the mobilization was announced on September 21st, 2022. The Russians left for two reasons. Direct danger to their lives, that's young Russian men. And the second, they couldn't take that anymore. The mobilization was just a kick in the butt. That push that moved lots of people. The second wave was the most turbulent and quick one and crazy one. In a matter of few weeks, over 1 million of Russians left the country. And I am a part of the second wave. Personally, myself, I witnessed what was going on around me. I witnessed that very strange process in the life of my country. Perhaps life-changing process. Third wave, which we are seeing right now, I call it prepared immigration. People got fed up. It took people quite some time to get ready, to prepare, to plan and execute their move out of Russia, especially if they're highly paid professionals with high-profile jobs and have families with kids, especially with families with kids. The third wave started around the new year and is still in the process, and I think it's just getting bigger and bigger. So now let's talk about, I'll tell you a few observations about the ones who have left. You know, the kind of who, why, how, when, where from, things like that. So more details. My first observation, permanent or temporary? At first, there were tons of people who thought that the war would not last very long time and that they would leave and then they would come back after the war is over. Many people connected their absence in Russia with Putin personally. I'm not going to come back to Russia until Putin is thrown out of the Kremlin. I heard that exact line many times from many people, and even from the few Ukrainians who lived and worked in Moscow. They got up and left, saying, "Hey, I'm not coming back until Putin is out of the Kremlin." Back then there was a feeling in the air that this atrocity could not last a long time. It's so, this thing that Russia was doing to Ukraine, so crazy, so unthinkable that it just simply could not last for a long time. I clearly remember I had the same feeling inside of me, okay? That was a mistake that would somehow be fixed very soon. That's what a lot of people thought. I'd say most people from the first wave, they thought they'd come back to Russia fairly soon. But as time went by, the war kept on going on. Moreover, it got worse and worse. More and more people were being killed by Russia, and you cannot undo that. You cannot fix that. Even if it's a mistake and you admit it, you cannot undo two things. You cannot unerase Ukrainian cities and bring the killed ones from death, back into life. And the second thing, Russian people started changing very deeply. Russian society was transform into something, I'll be honest with you, pretty ugly. More and more Z patriots started appearing. Not good. The breaking point for many, many people was around September, early September, nothing to do with the mobilization, September of 2022. You see, Z patriotism was emerged and was born, and it gained strength. Z patriotism lessons were introduced at schools. Before, brainwashing concerned only adults, but in September, Russian government started targeting kids. And it became very clear that they want a new generation of Z people, Z patriots, because they have clear understanding that what's going on in Russia, is for a very long time. To me personally, it was huge. Me and my wife, we made a mutual decision to leave Russia in the afternoon on February 24th, 2022. Right after I woke up, I saw what was happening. I immediately made a video, my first war video. It's still there on YouTube, a very raw, unprepared, unpolished video, one of my most emotional works. You can go ahead and watch it. So right after I finished filming and I uploaded, we made a decision to leave eventually. And September, when Dasha, our daughter, one of our daughters, went to school, back then she was the only one going to school because the oldest one was going to university and the youngest was in kindergarten. So Dasha went to school and she faced this new horrendous Z patriotism lessons, USSR style. I've been there, I've done that, and not pretty. And that was a kick in the butt for me, the first one. And the second kick was happened a little later, but later on that. So the ones who left temporarily at first, so they thought in March, in September, they started thinking more and more of staying out of Russia permanently. Very few of those who left in the first wave returned home, returned to Russia. Most are still out of Russia, and they don't even think of coming back to Russia anymore. Then the second wave came, and that was the most difficult emigration for most, because people were nothing but running away. They counted minutes and they counted hours. The government was after many. Only after you were outside Russia, you could catch your breath and start asking, what's next? What do I do now? Where am I? How am I going to live here? What's my future going to be like? What happens to everything that's left behind? I know these are exact questions I was asking myself. And I made a decision to leave Russia way back in February. And you know what? In late September, I was standing on the border between Tajikistan and Uzbekistan asking myself these questions. And at that point, I was so confused, so lost, I wasn't even terrified. People in this wave, in the second wave, were mostly unprepared, and I saw so many examples of that. Oh boy, with my own eyes. I was in the middle of that wave. No planning, no information on where they would be going to. Very little money, very foggy situation with the incomes and their jobs. Boy, I saw that. Oh, yeah. Since most left unprepared, they suffered from culture shock the most. And, more of that on culture shock later. Some also thought, well, it's not for a very long time. I come back once this mobilization is over. But they were already a minority because most already understood that Russia had changed and there was no way going back. The second immigration wave was really chaotic, It's when they throw you, there's a big ship in the ocean, and then it's going forward, and then they just take you and throw you overboard, and you can't swim, and you either learn how to swim or you drown. But basically, that's it. That was chaos. That was chaos. And the third wave, these people know exactly what they're doing. There's a big difference between the third and the second and the third waves. These people who are leaving Russia permanently right now, they are finishing off everything in Russia, their education, their businesses, their jobs, they're selling off all their property, and they plan to move very well. This third wave, the current one, most Russians leaving the country, and they will never, ever go back and reside in Russia again. They made their choice. Second observation, why? Why do Russians leave their homeland? Now, this is my subjective opinion. It is based on what I have read and studied, and most importantly, it's based on what I've seen with my own eyes. I have over 600 people in my community group called International Tashkent Breakfast Club. I created it first with the purpose to gather Russians who escaped, to help them somehow. And then I started inviting the Ukrainians, so Russians and Ukrainians could meet, sit at one table, break bread, and at least talk, and Russians somehow could make amends. Okay, so I know over 600 people personally quite well. I met them at breakfasts over 8 months. I know their stories. I know their difficulties they faced, and I know their victories they've had. And here in Tashkent, I've met over, again, 8 months, with over 3,000 Russians personally. I talked to them. I shook their hands. They know me. So it gives me some material to base my opinion on. Most Russians left due to what they couldn't stand in Russia. They couldn't stand what Russia was doing to Ukraine, has been doing to Ukraine, destroying cities and killing Ukrainians, plain and simple. And they couldn't stand changes happening in Russian society. They couldn't stand Z-patriotism. They couldn't stand propaganda and lies. They couldn't stand the ways how the society was changing. They couldn't stand denunciations that people started writing on colleagues, on students, on teachers. They couldn't stand that you had to lie in order to keep your job and things like that. Most of Russians, I repeat, who have left Russia, in my estimations, that's, from what I've seen, I've read, I've studied, that's a little under 3 million people in the past, well, since February 24th of 2022. So most, they have left because they cannot lie to themselves. They hurt, and they don't want to see what the country is becoming. Some Russians, especially Russian men, left due to direct threat to their lives, due to mobilization. I heard that quite a few times. They said, well, simply if there was no mobilization, if there was no threat for me to get mobilized and, go and fight in Ukraine, I wouldn't have left. I heard that position. Not often, but it does exist among Russians here. I would say 10 to 15%. They are, only from the second wave, the ones who left mobilization, ran away. And I do not blame them, although I disagree with these people. Okay, I disagree with the point of view on the changes that's happening, because I personally, even if there was no threat to my life, if I knew that I would not be mobilized, I wouldn't have gone back. I don't want to live among people who do these things, who support, who approve, who have lost empathy, things like that. That would just explode me from the inside. But I do not blame those Russians. At least they have done good by escaping possible mobilization, becoming fighters, and being thrown to Ukrainian and giving orders to kill Ukrainians. So the Russian army is missing them, which is a good thing, My third observation: where from? Where are all these people coming from? Well, I'll break it down by waves. First wave: people came mostly from Moscow and St. Petersburg. Second wave: people came mostly from big cities other than Moscow and St. Petersburg, and towns from all over Russia. I saw very few people who came from villages. As we all know, the Russian government targeted villagers, mobilizing people in September and October, leaving large cities mostly unaffected. They didn't want to create social unrest. That is very низко. Очень низко. But anyway. Basically, the villagers have fallen victims of Russian government. And the third wave, also the second wave, the mix of people who lived near borders of Kazakhstan, Mongolia, and Georgia. So they could get to the borders easy somehow, by foot, by bicycle, by car, mostly hitchhiked or drove to the borders. So that's who where people were from. My fourth observation: who? That's an interesting one. Most people who left are well-to-do, better off than average Russians. Due to some research, second wave consisted of both first and second wave consisted of 40 to 50% IT specialists, programmers, testers, web developers, etc. It was really easy for them to keep their incomes and relocate. They just basically got up, packed their backpacks, put computers inside their backpacks, booked tickets, and left, both in the first and in the second wave. Absolute majority of all three waves, people from all three waves have higher education. First, second waves are journalists, engineers, finance professionals, a great deal of entrepreneurs, businessmen, many medical doctors, university professors, scientists, researchers, salespeople, office workers, creative professionals such as designers. It's pretty amazing. I call these people the best of the best. I call these people the cream of the crop. These are people who are very valuable to any country, not just Russia, any single country, because they move any country forward with their intellectual capacity, with their energy, with their motivation, with their brains. They create jobs, they generate taxes, they make breakthroughs, they come up, open new technology, discover new technology, and they make discoveries in general. They come up with brilliant ideas. They start and develop great companies. And these people are out of Russia now. They're spread out all over the world. I cannot pinpoint one country where, all Russians went to. Kazakhstan most likely would be the country where the biggest the biggest number of Russians went to, but not the majority, okay? They're really spread out all over the world. And The ones who have left, they are creating value, but not in Russia. They're generating taxes and paying taxes, but not in Russia. They're making discoveries, but not in Russia. And they're opening and developing their companies, but not in Russia. My fifth observation. How? How did people leave? First wave, people left by planes only. They were means, they were ways. There were plenty of tickets, there were plenty of flights. Leaving was easy, relatively cheap, and it was a planned event. Even though people planned like a day in advance, 2 days in advance, a week in advance, the distance of planning was not great, but people planned. Second wave, oh, that was a different story. People were leaving by any way possible. Men were leaving, well, they were not leaving, they were running by any way possible for them, available to them. All plane tickets were sold in minutes. Oh, I remember quite well, because Putin on September 21st came out on TV, all over on TV, on Russian TV, and made a speech. That speech was a shame, but basically he declared mobilization. He lied again, because in March he said there would not be mobilization under any circumstances, and then 6 months later he declared it. And I remember all the tickets were being sold as Putin was speaking, because I also checked the ticket for just, to see what was going on to, I believe, Uzbekistan. So people bought out all tickets in minutes. People were trying to get out of Russia by foot, by driving, by hitchhiking, riding bicycles. They tried to get to a border on trains or on buses and walk over borders with other countries by foot. People were just jumping up, getting all the necessities into a small bag or luggage and just trying to get out as fast as possible. Oh, what are we going to do with our car when we get to Uzbekistan? We don't know that. We don't know what we can do, how long we can keep it there. But we don't care. Let's just get there first. And, we'll start thinking about that. And little did they know that they can only keep their car in Uzbekistan without paying customs duty for 3 months, out of the year. So everyone drove. I saw tons of cars with Russian license plates in Tashkent. And they were right. They got here and they started figuring out what to do with the cars next. Was not the biggest priority. But that just to give you an idea what was going on, my friends. First wave, any way possible to get out of Russia. I close my eyes and I still see pictures of me, along with hundreds of other Russian men, crossing the border from Tajikistan, because that's the only place we could fly to, Tajikistan, into Uzbekistan, by foot, in the middle of a desert. Third wave, people are leaving by planes only. The third wave is very well prepared, very well planned, by planes only. My sixth observation, what gender? First wave, there was parity between women and men, 50-50, give or take. Second wave, men only. Men only were running from mobilization. Oh boy. Men. Fairly young men, from mid-20s to late 40s. Third wave, more women with children as families are reuniting now. Those men, us, who left in September and October, I call those people, by the way, and I call myself the Sentyabrist, the ones who left in September and October, Sentyabristi. Those men, when they run away in September and October, now for over 8 years, we have been preparing home bases for our families to join us. We have established ourselves here. We know how the societies that we arrived to work. We're not, strangers anymore. We have some experience. We made connections. We learned the ways. We found jobs. We secured incomes. Now we have good places where our families, our women and children can come and settle. We can be sure that our women are going to be safe here. It's going to be safe. There's going to be a roof above our head. There will be food on the tables, and our kids going to go to decent schools. We have been able to do that, okay? So now more women are coming. The third wave, say 70 to 30. Time for many families to leave Russia for good. My seventh observation, age. That's pretty simple. First wave, from 30s to, let's say, mid-50s. Second wave, from early to mid-20s to late 40s. And third wave, from late 20s to, let's say, late 50s. Average age for a Russian person who left is about 34, 35 years old. My eighth observation, is this a transition or a destination? And it's a very, very broad question, and there's no answer, because everyone's story is different. But in general, what I'm seeing in Uzbekistan, and I think it's safe to apply the same to Kazakhstan and to Kyrgyzstan, all Central Asia. So this is what I observe. For quite a few people, for most people, these places are transition points, transition bases, if you wish. We come here for some time, sometimes it's short time, weeks, days perhaps, sometimes months, and to some people, this transition can take up to a few years. About 70% want to go some other place. About 30% decide on staying here. Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, not the worst places in the world. All of a sudden, Russians learn that there are places that are actually quite comfortable for living besides Russia. Places where, due to, contrary to popular opinion in Russia, no one needs you there. You're going to be discriminated because you speak Russian, because you're only safe in the Russian world. And when the Russians come here, they find awesome people. They find people like them. People don't discriminate them just because they're Russian and they speak Russian. People try to help. They find great climates, great weather. They find good food. They find new cultures, and some like it and some decide to stay. Who wants to come back? Well, Russian government is actually very concerned about the Russian people who have left or live in Russia. They understand that's a huge disaster. They understand. It's one of the worst things that actually happened to Russia. And they somehow try to lure us back. First of all, some politicians try to, Russians parliament speaker Volodin claimed that around half of all Russians who left Russia have returned. He is either misinformed or he lies, because from what I have seen here in Uzbekistan, about 5% have returned, and people do return, but not because they decide, all of a sudden I change my opinion and I go back, everything's normal in Russia. No, I haven't seen one person like that. People return out of desperation. For example, they have someone who relies on them, older parents. That's very, very common, widespread case. Mom or dad who are older, they get sick. You gotta go and help them. You get really sick and you can only get medical help in Russia. For example, I've seen one person got cancer, left Russia, left back for Russia just because it's too expensive here. He cannot afford getting treatment. Those people who go back, they don't go back for good. They know that they can return at any time, at any point. Okay, so to summarize, this is a destination, the Central Asian countries, and to most, it's transition. Transition where to? All over the world. A lot of people trying to get into the United States, Canada. That's probably two top destinations. And I understand them. I think two best countries in the world. Lots of people trying to go to Europe. Scandinavian countries, especially, those who have professions that are in demand. Engineers, IT professionals, medical doctors, Lots of people, especially programmers, younger folks, they fly to warmer climates because they work from anywhere. They fly to Sri Lanka, Bali, Thailand, Indonesia, and they just reside there, and they plan to reside there for years. Hey, they work for or either Russian or most of them work for foreign companies, and they don't care where they live. But people are to transit. In my ninth observation, well, it's not really observation, but that's experience. A lot of us, well, most of us who have left, we've been given a huge, huge dose of criticism, both from people who are left in Russia. I'm not even talking about Z patriots; those who hate us, and from people abroad. Let me tell you what kind of criticism. Those who criticize us in Russia, especially Z people, they're saying, "Oh, you are traitors. You fled Russia like rats fled the ship." Government officials have said that, by the way. You should not be allowed to go back, to come back. When the motherland is in danger, you must remain inside and help it in any ways, even with the price of your life. You can't do that. You simply can't do that. I've heard that many times from different kinds of people. My family mostly supports my decision. But I'll just give you one example. There's one person I know in Russia, and he's a Z patriot, and he has claimed that I am a traitor to Russia. Yet, last March and April, when Russia invaded Ukraine, that guy's son was graduating from university in 2022 last year. And right after graduation, he was set to join the army. And, once you join the army, you know what happens in Russia. So this fella, the Z Patriot, he started getting very concerned about his son. And he started asking us, people, everyone who he knew, where it was possible to find people, to ask to somehow help his son not to join army. And basically he was asking if any of us knew someone who he could bribe to take care of the paperwork. And, after some time, he found the person and he bribed him. How do I know? He was bragging about that, okay? So his son, perfectly healthy, in right age, was not called up to join military, and he paid for himself, so he was all safe during the mobilization. And then the very same person is calling me a traitor because I fled Russia, and I'm not in Russia, and I'm not ready to give my life for the motherland, okay? So that just gives you a little glimpse of what kind of people calling us traitors who are in Russia. And then some people from abroad in foreign countries, they are saying, well, you cowards because you fled Russia and you did not stay in Russia and you didn't fight Russian government. Well, let me tell you, a lot of us are doing so much fighting Russian government. And that some things, many things, you can do so much more from being outside of Russia than being inside. Because being inside of Russia, your arms are tied. You cannot even say things, okay? You show up on the street with a plain white piece of paper and you're arrested and you're given prison time, okay? But once you come out, your hands get untied. And that, my friends, is a very powerful force to be free. So I would say those who are saying that we're cowards, you should reconsider, because you don't know everything. Let me tell you of my personal experience, what I've seen around in the last 8 months. I think I am going through pretty much the same experience as everyone else, more or less everyone else who is around me. But I am just ahead of the curve for a few reasons, and one of the reasons, I've done that before. When I was 20, I left Russia to study and then to live in the United States, and I went through a process of changing my country. So I kind of know what it is to be an immigrant. But what I didn't have experience of, back then I was just like everyone else, seeking great coming from good. But this time was different. I did not have good. I had terrible, and I burned the bridges, just like we all did. And I was seeking not great, but just something, okay? So that's the biggest difference. The process of fleeing Russia was incredibly painful, incredibly hard, incredibly emotional. And emotions were not good. For first time, I had absolutely same feelings when everyone around me had. We were lost. We didn't know what's next. We stepped into unknown. We stepped into a dark room, and someone shut the door behind us. We didn't have any light. So our past was crossed out, and our future was in dark. And there we were. Incredibly tough. But I guess it's really hard to explain. To understand me, you really have to go to live through this experience. God forbid. I don't wish anyone to go through this stuff. I decided not to give up. That decision I made. Again, I cannot claim that I am the smartest one in the bunch, but I definitely am one of the bravest ones, at least in Russia, because I am among 3 million of those who bravely got up and made the decision to leave and not to be part of that mad circus that is called Russia right now. I made a decision not to give up and start building up my life from pieces that were laying around. And it's actually, I've succeeded because I started from creating a small community, trying to help others in the same situation that I was. And now it's called International Tashkent Breakfast Club. And it's nearing 1,000 members. And we are a well-known community here in Tashkent and internationally. And the amount of people who have been helped through our support group is incredible, both Russians and Ukrainians, and others too. I started getting people together and trying to help in any way I could, and I started connecting people so people could help each other. So it's been very therapeutic for me. The second thing that's been therapeutic is the online community, the Inside Russia, my work on YouTube and live stream chats, conversing with people. That's been huge help. And I went through culture shock. That's a nasty thing. It happens when you leave one country for another, because your life basically gets upside down. And the worst part was in December sometimes, 3 months after I left. And at one point I remember how my life changed. I woke up, and before I had thought that my life pretty much was over, and this tragedy, I was going through this hardship and tragedy, but then one morning I woke up and I understood that I was going through something that was a gift. Some doors closed behind me, but many new ones opened. And of course, I'm a religious person, so I shouldn't say religious, I'm a person of faith. So I attribute this to God's work. You can take it any way you want, but to me, that's God's help. And I realized that my life became more colorful and richer than it used to be when I lived in Russia. So many Russian people are going through the same thing. The worst is over. The unknown is not unknown anymore. The fog is over. And we start seeing future. We start planning. We start making our new lives. And you know what we're making out of it is actually not too bad. It's not the end of the world what happened to us last year, earlier this year. It's just the beginning. And we definitely, a lot of us, not all, but a lot of us, we understand and we do things to help our country a great deal. There are passive Russians here. They're just, trying to save their butts. There are not, but I'd say the majority are not passive. Majority are the force, and the force is getting unleashed right now. So, my friends, this what I think about the brave ones who have left. Yes, they are the smartest ones, the smart ones. Yes, they are most motivated ones. Yes, they are most energetic ones. Yes, they are best ones. But to me, in the first place, they are the brave ones, because it took lots and lots of guts to make that decision. And again, I don't wish anyone goes through that experience. This has been my message for today. Thank you so very much for coming and watching, giving me a chance, listening. I'd like to invite everyone to live stream chat, where I'd like to converse with you and answer questions if you have any. I'd be glad to answer. Before I turn the live stream chat, I'd like to ask you to help me a little bit to spread my message by making reposts in your social media accounts. that actually helps a lot with YouTube algorithm. Also, if you liked what you just heard, would you please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any further updates. By the way, tomorrow I am going to release a video of how I was actually making that transition from Russia to Uzbekistan. I filmed along, and that video has been sitting for 8 months, okay, because I didn't feel it was the right moment to release it, but now it is. So come back and watch the video tomorrow about me leaving Russia, my thoughts, my state of mind, my state of emotions. That's really a piece of history, you know. I'm going to be showing that video to my kids 20 years from now. Showing them what I went through. So please tune in tomorrow. And if you'd like to help me out, buy me a coffee or become a patron, then I wouldn't mind that at all. Thank you so very much in advance. To the live stream chat now. Hang on 1 second. Again, thank you friends for coming. I am opening chat in a new window. That's easier for me that way. I see plenty of questions. You are the usual suspects, and you highlight them in orange even before I ask you to. Thank you. Lorna, Mommy, Harry, Bob S, Blackhead, and Prince Amir, thank you so much. If you're here for the first time, then please know that this channel has the best mod team in the world, in the universe. Mods, thank you. And everyone, the usual suspects are here. Fantastic to see you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Look, if you want me to notice your question or comment easier, please put it in caps so I see it, and put inside Russia after @ sign so it appears highlighted in orange. I'd really appreciate that, just like Harry Potter did. Howdy Harry. Hope that flying is well. X Flying Tiger, John and Nikki from Lake Shasta. Why did you pick Uzbekistan? That's a good question. Thank you. Thank you, John and Nikki. Well, I picked Uzbekistan because this country is familiar to me and I like it. I spent 2 years, almost 2 years in Uzbekistan. I did business back in 2011, 2012. And me and my partner, we had an office in Russia, front office, and back office was here in Uzbekistan. We had sales force here. And I was the one in charge, so I opened office in Fergana and in Tashkent, and I spent all together 2 years. I like very much the people here. I like food, I like climate, I like weather, I like everything about this country. So, and I have friends too. So when I was thinking where to go outside of Russia, I already have a base established. I basically called a friend and said I was coming. Said, you know, he took a pause, and instead of saying, oh, like, why, and blah, 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 he just took a pause, and he asked me a question. He said, when you come over, what'd you like to eat, a chicken or a pilaf? I started laughing. That was a good joke, but I was so emotional. I was so on adrenaline. I said, yeah, I'll take care of it later. You know, don't joke with me right now, and blah, you know. And basically, when I made it to Uzbekistan, a taxi cab was already waiting for me, all paid for, because my friend sent me a taxi cab. That's why basically I picked Uzbekistan. I came and I stayed in his apartment for a couple of days, and I found my apartment. He helped me to get social security number, telephone number, all these necessary things to survive in Uzbekistan. I like Uzbekistan very much. It's part of the former USSR. We have somewhat same cultures. Everyone speaks Russian here, so it's a pretty cool country. RW, thank you so much for sponsoring 5 people. Thank you, friend. Mr. Kaliskin from Chicago, howdy. Bob S., howdy. Paul, thank you, Konstantin, for mentioning us creatives as part of those who make the world go round. Well, there's no way around it, We're often forgotten in the shadow of IT and other high-paying jobs. Designers, painters, decorators, animators, bloggers. Mama Two Boys, howdy. Dan Caldwell, hello. Again, I noticed those who are those comments that are on caps or highlighted in orange. Arabic 820, usual suspect here. You're all usual suspects, Welcome. And Koshkin Dom, hello. Daniel McInnes, thank you for your support from Canada. Philo Girl, sponsor for 15 months, thank you. Bravery is standing up for what's right. Thank you. I appreciate the good words. Koshkin Dom, Sweden, welcome to NATO. Yes, that's right. My Swedish friends, congratulations, welcome to NATO. Michael Barnett, I just tweeted Zelensky and Putin. Both of them will watch war, murder, defeated by the character of the higher power and intelligence, which is love. You tweeted Zelensky, which is fantastic. You tweeted Putin. I doubt he will read your tweet, or anyone tweeting Putin is useless, but everything else, you're absolutely right. Love is above all. Thank you, Michael, for support, and thank you for the good words. G. Scapinelli, howdy from Brazil. Wow, Brazil is in the house. Well, that doesn't happen often, let me tell you. What a fantastic country. Great football team. You guys play football probably the best. Thank you so much. Argentinians would argue, and Germans would argue, and of course the English would argue, but you're all good. Well, welcome. Thank you. Fantastic to see someone from Brazil. Hello, Integrated Blinds. Dieter from Munich. Howdy. Good Abend. Veronica, howdy. Daniel McInnes, Inside Russia, new sponsor for 1 month. Sam K. Thank you. You rock, my friend. You rock. The usual suspect. Petra Olsen, congratulations on joining NATO. Well, you technically have not joined yet, but you will soon. New Zealand. Brazil and New Zealand, far away from each other, It's amazing how this community is just brought together, and they're so, people physically so far apart from each other, but come together in one place here. It's fantastic. Multi-Ducky, good Abend. Pacific Beach, California, Charlie B, hello. Eranka, howdy. Jess Terry, hello. Paul, do you have a job, employment, or are you self-employed? For example, YouTube streamer. No further details needed. No answer is also okay. Well, answer. It's not a secret. I was an executive at energy construction company. We were building power plants. I worked It's an international holding company with offices in Russia and in Ukraine. I built many companies in Ukraine with my own hands over the 20 years. Kazakhstan, Mongolia. Obviously, we don't have markets in Russia anymore. We don't have the industry. Most have lost the job or their time has been cut to, like 20%, and they don't make much. But basically, our industry in Russia is being imploded. And I obviously lost a job when I left. Here, I am working for the company pro bono. Not working, but doing some research and business development for my previous company to break into Uzbekistan market. But this is not, I can't say this is a job. If we get a contract one time, one day, then perhaps it might turn into a job. But this is not a job. And my entire income right now comes from YouTube. Bronwyn, howdy. Thank you so much. Lovely to catch you live, and it is lovely to interact with you live. Thank you for your support. I can't wait to watch tomorrow's video. It was a very stressful time. Braun from Australia. Oh, yeah. Thank you for your support, and I am very glad that you understand, because that is a very important video for me. Oh, I edited everything right after I came back, within 2 days after I came to Uzbekistan, left Russia. But then I just didn't feel it was the right moment to post it, to upload it. And I kind of put it aside, and now, 8 months later, I gave it a second look. And, kind of brought memories. Very emotional. Anyway, it's coming tomorrow. Thank you, Braun. Danielle McInnes, thank you again. Greetings from South Africa, from Andrew Hodson. Just join okay. Watch from the beginning. It's a very important stream for me personally. Thank you, Andrew. Always pleasure to have you here. Congratulations, Daniel and Philo Girl. Calvin, good story. I'm too a big believer in providence. Well, thank you. Makes two of us. Okay. So, Oleg and Masha from the Tashkent Breakfast Club watching this. Well, it's good. It's good that you are here online. It's just this rule here. You have to post in English. Everything in Russian will be deleted. But Lorna, these folks are good. They, break bread with me every single morning at breakfasts. Dieter from Munich, howdy, good Abend. Peace and justice for you all people. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support and wonderful words. Thank you. RW. My friend, thank you so much again. Powerful video. My sympathies to the elderly and poor of both nations who are trapped in place. Putin wanted power and legacy. He has both. He does, all right. He has both. His power is vanishing, and his legacy, he's gonna have legacy for the rest of the human history, all right. Human misery, yeah. Dave Strains, thank you so much, my friend. Jess Terry, thank you. Thank you. Elsha, thank you so much. Look, you've been such a great supporter. You come here all the time and you watch, and you're like my friend, you know, only virtual. Fantastic to see you here. Thank you. Faith Russard from Chicago. I'm so used that you're from Spain. Back to Spain soon. Okie dokie. Terra 1626, thank you so much. It is heartbreaking. Oh yeah, that's been plenty of that. Not just with me, with everyone else who is around me. Inspiring. I think that one day, long time from now, we're gonna look back and we're gonna be amazed and we're gonna say, "Wow, look what came out of that." P.S. Sambladen, thank you so much from Denmark. Thank you for your support. Coffee received. Thank you. Kodadi Baga, my wife, 2 daughters, and I left Russia 2 days after the invasion, February 26. Welcome, my friend. What do you think of my message? Later that night, airspace was closed. It was undoubtedly one of the most stressful experiences we've ever had. Where did you leave? The thing is, airspace was in the south of Russia, where I was at the moment, was closed at 3 a.m. on February 24th. I remember I was sitting at my desk doing something very late night, and all of a sudden, Lorna, the mod, she sent me this news email. Said, "Konstantin, what's going on in Rostov? Airspace was closed." I didn't know. I basically went to bed. I said, "Lorna, I have no clue. Nothing in Russian news." And I went to bed. And I woke up around 8. And I came down, from second floor, my bedroom, to kitchen. Or TV is dining room. And I saw Putin addressing me, saying, "Oh, I made the decision to attack Ukraine," and that was beginning of the end. It was quite something else. Anyway, I remember that well. But the thing is, where did they close airspace on February 26th? I don't quite understand. Could you please explain that a little more? Perhaps I missed something. Ann Larson, howdy. Thank you for the good words. It takes time. It takes this to do what you have done. Both smart and brave. Well, I don't know. Brave, yes. Smart. It's not up to me to decide for you. But gosh, you guys, girls, if you only knew what it took to make that decision, when you decide and you understand that this is it, your life, everything that you have, you're leaving behind in short hours, in 36 hours, and your adrenaline starts rushing like nothing you've ever seen in your life, and then you just get to your destination, and then adrenaline starts going down, and it takes a couple of days, and then you just wake up and you look at yourself and go, "What the fudge? What now? What's going on?" And you just sit there and you think that your life is over. Okay. That's how it feels. Brian, thank you so much from South Africa. Much love to all here. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the support and thank you for the wonderful words. Priceless. I'm glad you chose not to be a pawn in Putin's game. Grateful you got outside of Russia. Somebody said, look, a lot of people were telling me, oh, you gotta get out, you gotta get out. But I decided that for a few reasons, that to prolong that. I made the decision right on day one, okay? But first of all, I had kids at school. I had, the entire family in Russia. I had my old mom. And I felt like I was doing a lot of useful being inside Russia. But then at one point, well, I spoke of that many times, how I made decision to leave Russia. So I decided to leave. I got lots of criticism for not leaving Russia until I left. And then after I left, I got lots of criticism for leaving Russia. Okay. That's just a no win-win situation. But thank you. Somebody said, thank you for your words. I appreciate them. Thank you. Krister Pedersen, sponsor for 11 months. Will be ever a statue of Putin somewhere? I think you know the answer to this question. What kind of statue? Statue for so all remember the Putinism. Mary W., have you thought about getting into politics after Putin falls? No. I'm not a politician. I haven't thought of it. You know, sometimes people say, Konstantin, you should get into politics. I'm not cut for politics. I'm sorry. I'm as far from politician as it gets, you know. It seems like they could use you. I think they somehow gotta manage without me, you know. And in Russia, they probably gonna manage without me, even if when everything is, you know, the peace is reached and they withdraw from Ukraine. Even then, I think they somehow gonna live without me. Claudio, Staymate, thank you so much. Always ignore my messages, but I'll still be a patron. Hey, I never ignore your messages. Thanks for your support from Canada, but do you put them in caps? Do you highlight them in orange? It's really hard for me to notice messages. Sometimes I don't notice many messages that not highlighted, that not put in caps, but it's nothing personal. I'm sorry if it offends you, but drop me a message on Patreon and I'll be glad to answer everything. Jason Carney, thank you so very much for your support and coming back. You are the champion, number one of the supporting. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's fantastic to see you, as usual, from me and from my wife. Thank you. Darla, enjoy those personal stories. It's special to these videos. Thank you. Darla, wait until you watch the video tomorrow. Very personal. One of the reasons I was not releasing it was kind of personal, too personal, you know. But this time for it. Jason, thank you so much also for 5 gifts of sponsorship. Thank you so much. You, the champion of what's this word? Supporting. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Paul, thank you for good words. Pinda, I rewatched your old videos. The first time you mentioned the brain drain was on 11 April 2022. Pinda, you gotta understand, my old videos were very chaotic because I was in the ocean of fire and I didn't know what was going on. None of us did. So I did videos. They still come straight from my heart. It's not like I do research or anything. I speak of something I find important for myself, first of all. And if I feel that it is important for me and I can, share it in a way that will be simple enough to understand and important, then I do the video. But back then, things were happening. They're just so atrocious and so fast and so violent and so turbulent, But this is when the brain drain started happening. April, that's right. April. I saw people were leaving throughout March and April, and it was clear that the trend was being set. And I was not wrong. Look what's happened. A little under 3 million have left since then. Just think about it. Oh, this is a tragedy for any country. 3 million relatively young, energetic, smart, motivated people, the taxpayers, the job creators, the entrepreneurs, all with high education left. This is just incredible. Marek, thank you so much for gifting 5 people gifts of sponsorship from me and from 5 people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. J Galt, John Galt. Haha, John Galt here. Wow, welcome. Oh, you're one of my best characters, fictional characters. Howdy, Constantine thinking of the future. What would you do to create new, more civilized Russia? Government checks and balances. No, my friend. No. Government checks and balances is when you build a house, you start with foundation, okay? You have good foundation, everything on top of the foundation doesn't matter. A hurricane can come, fire can come, but it's gone. You still have you have good foundation, you still can build up. I would start with foundation. I would look into I'm looking right now. I'm trying to understand Russian people. Look, the work I'm doing here in Tashkent is don't really say much about that, but I have very intelligent people. I have historians, I have philosophers, I have professors from Moscow universities, very famous ones. I can't say they work for me, they work with me. I ask questions, I'm trying to figure out what the hell happened with Russian society, or what hasn't happened, what should have happened, okay? And this is my number one research right now. I'm trying to understand where is the foundation of this problem. Because it's not Putin, it's not the government, it's the people, their attitude towards the government, towards themselves, first of all, towards how they live, towards their lives, their value, how they value their own lives, how they value others' lives. This is where I would be looking at first. And then the checks and balances. Once you have everything right with people, the checks and balances, they will come. The political system, the good one, will come. You gotta look inside of people. This is what I would do, and that's what I'm doing, actually. Janice Burgess, how insightful stream today. Thank you. I want to watch again. Thank you so much, Janice. Thank you. Best to the point and direct streamer ever, Constantine. But also true, and for that, thank you. Thank you, Robert. All right, what about time? Is it time yet? It was a long stream, I'm sorry. But it was a kind of complicated message. You cannot just... Not complicated, sophisticated. You cannot just, compact it into a very short one. KG1, thank you. You must have nightmares about how you and your family might have ended up if you had stayed. So many had to choose this option. I did a couple. I did have a couple nightmares. Not much, nothing major, but it's not nightmares, my friend. It's daymares. It's not when you sleep and we have a dream. It's when you close your eyes and you're awake and you think. And that I have definitely have plenty of those. There's not such an English word, daymares, but that's what I have. Just seen your first stream for Tashkent with an empty flat recently. Very touching. Very raw, my friends. I do not pretend. I say how I feel. Joe McMahon. Oh, please. Hello, hello. No tea today, Constantine. No tea. No tea. Sam K. I'll tell you a little secret. Well, to you and everyone else. I did not have a time to prepare tea. I was late with stream. I'm usually a couple minutes late. I start around 3-4 minutes late. But this time, the stream was really hard to make. And it took me much longer time. And I did not have time to make tea, to brew tea. So I simply put water. That's it. Mods, couple more questions and that's it. We'll be wrapping up. Diana, always pleasure to see you. Thank you. It may be that we all need to accept that we don't leave politics to the politicians. Oh, I've said it so many times. Mistake. Oh, we may all have a role to play as active citizens. Maybe Russia is teaching us that. I hope. I finished tons of my streams with this message. Please learn from our mistakes. Do not make your own. And I hope that this is something good you get out of Russia, that you learn in Russia's mistakes and you will never follow Russia's path. An interesting comment from Joao Morenos. I like to listen to Constantine and most people in the stream are nice, but conspiracy theories annoy me. You have to be more logic with your life. We have enough problems in the world. My dear friend, I'm pretty straightforward with my life. I tell how things are. I don't have any conspiracy theories. At least I try not to. Happy birthday, Diana. Diana Smith birthday today. Wow. Well, it means that we've got to sing. My friends, I am okay. Not speaking of you. Point taken. Sorry. I'm warning everyone. Please cover up your ears because you are about to go through a little bit of pain. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Diana. Happy birthday to you. I wish you many happy returns of the day. I wish you to be surrounded with the loved ones at all times. I wish you enough reasons to have smiles on your face all the time and not to have any reasons to be sad. So good health, good company, good family, and good money. Happy birthday. My friends, I would like to invite everyone to finish praying with me. Thank you. Thank you for joining the stream. Thank you for giving me a message, listening, watching, conversing, asking me wonderful questions. And Jason, thank you so much for another super chat. It was fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, 2 minutes to midnight. So please, everyone, join me in prayer. Our dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for everything that you have given us. Thank you for food that you have put on our tables. Thank you for roofs you have given over our heads. Thank you for people, loved ones who you surrounded us with. Thank you so much for everything. Please give us wisdom to keep the skies above our children's heads safe and peaceful. Give us wisdom to raise our children the way that when they grow up, they become better people and change this world for the better. Meanwhile, please keep our children safe and healthy. Dear Lord, please help stop the bloodshed in Ukraine. Reach out and touch the ones who you know and you need to reach out and touch the hearts, the souls, wake them up from lethargic sleep that they've been at. Please show them, open their eyes and show them at what tragedy has been done, so they wake up, they get terrified, and they make the decision to stop the bloodshed. Please help every single Ukrainian who has been affected by this tragedy. Answer their prayers and make their wishes come true. Send an angel to every Ukrainian to keep people away from harm's way. Please help my country, Russia. Assemble your strongest army out of angels with sharpest swords, led by Saint Michael in shining armor, and send them to earth to get rid of the demons. Send them like avalanche. So they send all the demons who have hijacked of my country to hell, where they belong. Have angels run Russia, make it peaceful, loved, loving. Make it right. Dear Lord, please help everyone who is traveling. Send them safe travels. Everyone who's seeking for asylum, especially families. Please help the Ukrainians who are suffering from the strikes executed by Russia. Send everyone safe heavens. Please help all single women who are raising their kids and struggling, trying to make ends meet. Send help their way. Please help all the sick, the hungry, the jobless, the homeless, the addicted, the depressed, the ones with low self-esteem, the ones who are not feeling well about themselves and about their lives, the ones who losing faith. Help each one of them. Shine your heavenly light upon those people in need and provide everything they need. Help them, surround them with your warmth and love so they feel better about their lives again. They feel back into good life. They feel they stand up and have a chance at good life and happiness. Dear Lord, please keep on giving us chances to come here every single day, congregate, and continue maintaining this community. Thank you so much for allowing us to come and pray every single day. Please help everyone who's praying along with me or simply watching us pray. Please answer everyone's prayers right now and make everyone's wishes come true. Dear Lord, I would like to ask for some people who really, really need your help. Please Don't forget about them. Shine your light upon them and send them angels, and please answer their prayers and grant their wishes. They are Frank in Texas, Nina, Julie W., Margaret, Linda, Sarah Stokes, James Gentz, China Bill, Julia Haney, Yoki Mom, Janine, Paul, Hannah, Vasilin Lubamirov, Heather, Gloria Roberts and her brother, Susie Mailer, Greg, Jim, Shirley Hall, Ann Larson, her family and daughter Hannah, Delaney and her 2 daughters, Florentina, Max family, Patty L., Sherry Morin, CKUS, Brian Wilkes, Amir's Uncle Dicky, Liz Dumbrell and her family, Ripted, daughter of Aspen English, Ruth, Paul, Susan, Rudy Kaisley, Darla, Bip, Paula McDonald, Ivan Gershkovich, Santa's Whiskey, White Lightning, George Ruberty. Please keep on shining your light upon him, and keep on sending him recoveries. Dave Strains, Pam, Wayne, Shirley, Debbie, Jen Allen, Finola, Lars Henrik, and Lars Henrik's mother. The Highwayman, Essie from the Scottish Isles, Outlander family, Chorizo family, David Porter and his family, Lars, Susan Marshall, Beulah, Lazarus, Boss Simon, Alvin's sister, Teresa D., Terry Carter, Joe and Lee McMahon, Meta Spencer, Diana and her family, Bree's friend, Caroline, Albina Fell, Michael Yukon, Joel Life, Karine Vasseur, Pamela J., Lindsay, Grace Philosophy. Please send her recovery and shine your light upon her and her family and wonderful granddaughters. Larry, Brittany S., Yelena, Natasha, Jake, Michael, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Bonnie, Svetlana, Karen from Maine, Michael Milkowitz, Marlene, Paul Binns, Richard, Mallory M., Dirk, Linda, Terry, Richard Burris, Angelica Life, Aunt, Scan family grandson, Randolph, Harry's family, Verlinda's niece, King Nero, Gaby Hyman, Donald, Deborah, Lisa's son, Jade Kaltenberg, Allison Dave Moyes, Maureen M. and her sister, Mr. Hansen, Ashlyn family, Matt, Rob, Bob, Mr. Dean Spooner, his church called Our Savior Lutheran Church, Lisa Kumrian, Jacob, Adam Oliver, Amy, Joy, Kyle's wife, Maggie, Gina and Wayfarer, Liz, Lori Miles' husband, Sherry, Layla, Philip's mother, and Thomas Fowl's mother. Cadence, Maverick, Sebastian, Eva, Coulter, Theo, Muddy, Ansley are special children. I would like to ask for recovery for them so they feel good, they get healthy, and they spend the rest of their lives with their families, having happy lives. Please help them and help their families to send them strength to go through hard times. Also asking for children of Ukraine and Russia that have been affected by this terrible tragedy. Please help them. And for all children who are not feeling well right now, please send them recovery. Thank you so much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. My friends, thank you so much for coming, for giving me a chance. It's been a very important message for me, and I am honored that you have come to, share it with me. Thank you so much. You're awesome. You rock. Please come back and watch the video about me leaving Russia tomorrow. I'll see you soon. Before I leave, I invite everyone as usual to say along with me the following: Carthago delenda est.